In this episode of The Graveyard Shift, we hear from an anonymous listener who has a very fascinating story about psychedelic use and quitting psychedelics.
And then it went all the way up to what they call a hero's dose. You can experience ego death, which means you lose the concept of
Yourself.
ego. Right, yeah, of yourself. It kept trying to lure me further in. And the more I kept looking at this door, the more it kept insisting. Then I was like, wait a minute, I think I can read what the words are on the door. The words were...
The ego death, it's centric. It's like totally self-centric. It serves you.
100%.
Right, but nobody else.
No one else.
You knew it was spiritual. You knew there was some spiritual element, but you were filtering it through and saying, I'm accessing God. This is to God's glory.
This episode of Haunted Cosmos is brought to you by Mount Athos. Results, purity, and sustainability in every bottle. Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of The Graveyard Shift with Haunted Cosmos, a special new interview style show that we're doing in the off season, where we bring in people to the studio or have them call into the studio and tell us their craziest paranormal or high strangeness story. Today, I am joined, of course, by my co-host, Brian Sauvé. Brian, say hello.
Dude, it is so good to be here. Graveyard shifting it with you guys.
Oh, it's so late.
It is so late.
It's so moody.
The fire's crackling.
It's actually 8:57 a.m.
The mood is set.
The mood is set.
I think you know what we mean. I think you understand the implication.
Yeah, we tried to emphasize moodiness in this set. We also are joined by a very special guest who will remain nameless because he wishes to be anonymous as he tells this story. So everyone, please give a warm welcome to Anonymous.
Hi, everybody.
Well done.
Man, it is so good to respect your anonymity, which I would like to begin respecting by saying that Anonymous' social security number is 175-392-8734, and he's from the state of Colorado. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would also we actually have a fourth very special guest, Brian's favorite special guest of the show, and his name is Hugh Jackman.
No.
Hugh, no. Hugh, please say hello.
Absolutely.
Hello.
We need to cut this out.
Good morning.
We need to cut it out. It cannot make the show.
8:58.
Everybody stop listening. Everybody has stopped listening.
Okay.
Anyway.
I'll never look at
So,
lateness
hey,
the same.
anonymous guest here. How long you been listening to Haunted Cosmos?
Honestly, since season 1.
Ooh.
Whoa, dude.
We got
I'm an OG for sure.
Dude, we got a lifer.
No,
That is
it was.
crazy.
When did the Psychedelics episode? That was season 2, right?
Psychedelics was episode 10 of season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We started the show in March of 2022. So it would have been sometime in 2023,
2022. Yeah. Okay.
like early 2023.
So I think I started listening there were maybe only 3 episodes live
Yeah.
when I started listening to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, that's nuts. That's nuts. Is your favorite the Psychedelics one?
Well, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know. I think Giants was one of my, because that one was more like, wait, this is actually real.
Yeah.
Like they're
dude,
like
Giants
Giants
are
are actually real.
Everybody knows it.
Dude.
Well, now
Yeah.
everyone should know that.
Now they do.
But I thought they were fake.
Yeah.
Until that episode.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing pastors talk about Genesis 6. It's like, no, they're not real. It's all like a metaphor.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's actually not.
Giants are really just people who were 5'11",
But they were bad.
but they were bad.
They were sinful.
No, I think Giants, the Hat Man, that one really screwed me up.
They were sinful.
Oh, they were. Just to be clear, see our published work.
Sorry.
No, Hat Man. That one was really good.
Yeah, that one was
is
crazy.
awesome.
Hatman was one of the ones that that was the first one that we got some negative feedback.
People were
on.
like,
Wait, really?
Wow.
Well, yeah, because we
was
didn't really
scary.
warn anyone about how
Dark.
creepy the subject
Yeah.
matter
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
We just kind of went into it, and some folks had their little kids listening, and then they all of a sudden the little kids start seeing the Hat Man.
that didn't happen.
Okay.
I mean, that didn't.
Now let me ask
Dude,
you this:
I-
what kind of drew you to the subject matter? Why were you interested in this type of thing?
I mean, that time of my life, I was kind of, I don't know, trying to get answers. I was deep in the tech world where there's a lot of deception.
Mm-hmm.
And always been a Christian, right? I grew up Christian, but I started to question a lot of that kind of stuff. Like, is this real? Is it like, is Christianity real? And I essentially became so modernized that I was looking for something that would take me back to older truths. And that's how I came across Haunted Cosmos.
Nice. Older truths.
I think it's time.
Yeah, that was a segue.
You got a great story for us to tell firsthand, and take us in. We'll try not to interrupt you.
Yeah, first one, let me just explain to the audience what we're going to do is let the anonymous guest tell his story pretty much from start to finish. And we're going to do our very, very best to not interrupt him at all. And then after that, we'll kind of get into it, ask some questions, and hopefully have a good discussion.
Mount Athos Performance is a family-owned fitness brand that gives you the tools you need to cultivate a lifestyle of health and fitness. Bro, you know I'm doing an ad right now, right?
Oh, yeah. No, you're doing great, man. Keep it up. Keep it up.
But can you stop shaking the bottle just for a minute?
Oh, wait. You want me to stop shaking my Mount Athos Performance Shaker bottle filled with Mount Athos Performance Protein?
Yes, that would be great.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Well, as I was saying, Mount Athos sources their goat whey from their family-owned farm so they can create a product that's not full of crazy chemicals or additives.
Oh, yeah, dude. You can tell this is the good stuff. I'm drinking this goat so that I can get goated. Oh, yeah.
Well, they have products like protein powder, creatine, supplements for your mind. There should be one for sleep somewhere. Oh. Head to athosperform.com and use code NCP20 for 20% off your order today.
I'm going to set the scene just to kind of give a little bit of context, but everything started with a friend that I went to church with that introduced me to psychedelics, specifically psilocybin mushrooms. And he asked me one time, if I ever tried microdosing. And I had no idea what that even meant. I'm like, no. So he gave me a few half-gram capsules of psilocybin mushrooms. So essentially they're ground up, they're put into capsules. And it was more of a way for me to kind of what he was doing it for was this idea of biohacking. You can enhance your performance at work. You can think better, be more creative. And having been sort of in the tech world, eventually I found out that a lot of people were doing this. It was actually normal for a lot of people to microdose. And so, I tried it a couple of times. It was kind of mild. It was nothing crazy. And in sort of this pursuit of like biohacking, I had tried a bunch of stuff. And this one kind of seemed to be the one that didn't like it was like, it was not an amphetamine where like it got you wired up. It wasn't cannabis either, where kind of it was too much of a downer. It was sort of in between, right? So I slowly began to, try multiple things, including this microdosing thing. At the time, I had also kind of experimented a lot with cannabis use in multiple ways. Like I'm talking wax, flower, like edibles.
I've never even heard of half of these.
It's all the different ways that you can essentially ingest cannabis. Mm-hmm. And so I was already kind of dependent on it. Like it got to the point where I couldn't operate unless I smoked. And then you throw in the microdosing thing on top of that. I eventually got connected with somebody that hooked me up with essentially like a tincture of what do you call it? It's like an extract that they make themselves with psilocybin mushrooms. I started doing that almost all the time. Then it just kind of like it wasn't a crazy experience. It was more like, oh, I can think a little bit more openly, but in reality, it was an illusion probably. And then I was like, I need to try more. So I did that was like, was doing about a gram max. So then I tried 2 and then 3. And then it went all the way up to what they call a hero's dose, which is 5 grams of mushrooms. That is what they call like ego death. You can experience ego death, which means you lose the concept of
Yourself.
ego, right? Yeah, of yourself. You have no idea what's going on. You don't know where you are really. The crazy thing is I never really experienced that. It was more like I would get stuck in thoughts, and then I would pursue one thought and go as deep as I could, and then go to another one. And I would do that for hours when I did these 5 gram or more doses. And I only did it like 3 times. It wasn't like something I frequented. And that was over about a year. Well, where it gets kind of crazy is, I talked about the mixture of cannabis and psilocybin mushrooms. So one Saturday after I had done a bunch of yard work, I was like, I'm done. I'm going to chill. So I took 3 grams, which is supposed to chill you, but not like really give you a lot of psychedelic effects. And at this point, I actually had grown my own mushrooms. Figured out how to do it. It's legal, by the way, to grow. It's technically legal to have the spores, and you can actually like do everything up to the point that they grow.
So this was like how you went deep.
I was deep.
How long did it take you from like trying it to you're literally producing your own psychedelic drugs in your domicile?
About like 9 months.
Dude, that is crazy.
Whoa, that's
and
a
you're a
speed
Christian the whole time, like going to church.
Going to church. At the time I talked to my pastor and I said, hey, I'm doing this. What do you think? His answer was, well, it's just like medicine. You should be fine.
I see.
Yeah. And so not only did I have a bad pastor at the time, it started with just like, I'm trying something quick. And I was convinced that this was from God.
Wow. Okay.
Like a gift.
Like a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, this is so sad now thinking back, but the whole idea of die to yourself, I associated with ego death.
Wow. Okay.
And so it was like, I mean, I'm telling you this deceptive stuff.
Yeah.
And I eventually, got a group of Christian friends that I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? And a lot of those guys had tried, but they're like, no, I only did it for fun. And I'm like, no, did you know you can actually grow like in your faith if you do this crap?
You were like evangelizing psychedelic mushrooms.
Are you an alien?
No. Yes, it got to the point where I was getting Christians to like that had never tried to try.
Yeah.
Once I was convinced that this was sinful, I actually went to each one of them and repented.
Good.
And I asked for the forgiveness.
Praise God.
I told them, dude, I'm really, really sorry. And a lot of them, a couple guys were like, I knew you were kind of crazy. Like,
yeah.
Like I threw away the stuff you gave me. I'm like, thank God.
Got that
Some
look
other
on.
guys were like, oh, I thought this was like really good for me. Like it helped me, blah, blah. Anyway, this is where like, that just kind of gives you context, right?
Sure.
Of how deep I was into this stuff, how I believed it was from God, including the cannabis. I'm like, at the time I told my wife, I'm probably gonna just always for the rest of my life smoke cannabis because I can't survive without it. Like I can't think. I kind of go into spiral mode. And thank God that's no longer the case. But so, back to the story. I had done yard work around the house and I took 3 grams. Then nothing was happening. Like, I'm like, okay, normally, 30 minutes in, you feel something. You get the wave is what they call it. Like everything you're looking at kind of moves like a wave. And none of that. I was like, nah, whatever. I'm going to go smoke. So I went and smoked like 2 bowls of like modern cannabis is bred to be stronger, like significantly stronger than it was even 10 years ago. Anyway, I'm not even done with the second one and things just kind of hit. I had this little shed. I went into the shed. That's where I smoked and started to do my thing. For some reason, the cannabis really augmented the psilocybin effect, like exponentially, to the point that the 3 milligrams that I did felt stronger than 6 that I had done before.
Wow. Dang.
So it was more than double as far as like I was out.
Like perceived effect.
The perceived effect. And but what I mean by out is I wasn't fully there, like in my body. Essentially, like the best way to explain it is it felt like I was detached from my body. I kind of drifted into a trance. It was really weird. I don't know how long it lasted. I think it felt like, you know, you go to bed and you wake up and you don't know how much time has passed. That's kind of what it felt like. I suddenly was like in a dark tunnel. This is the craziest part to me because I have never seen this in movies or anything like that I can think of. It was a dark tunnel underground that led to a much bigger void, like a huge void, like filled with an incredibly massive bright blue light. And there's something about the blue light that I'll get back to. But imagine like a 120 floor building, like a massive skyscraper. Like that's how deep this hole was underground. And it was really deep underground because in my mind, I remember trying to kind of see, you know, like, is there light anywhere? Couldn't see anything. It was absolutely huge. And the tunnel I was in was just one of hundreds that essentially led to this massive void. So imagine just like a big hole underground and a bunch of tunnels that led to that big hole. Where they came from, I don't know, but that's how it looked like. It was at that moment that everything just kind of felt peaceful. It was really weird. It felt peaceful, bliss, like it. I don't really know how to explain it, but every ounce of concern, worry, anxiety that I probably had leading to the experience, gone, like completely gone. Then I noticed someone sort of trying to hold my hand, like in front of me. And it felt like it wanted to lead me further into this tunnel, into the massive blue light. And then I remember looking at my own arm, and it was also glowing blue. And there was this blue hue to everything. Now, this is all in my head, right? Like I'm literally just staring at a wall, and like my body was actually staring at a wall.
Yeah.
And this thing appeared to have a mission to take me deeper and deeper into this massive void toward this big blue light. And it felt like two entities. It felt like the entity in front of me was drawing me in toward another entity. You know, when you can tell like you're about to go see somebody and someone's driving you there, like when you're in a Uber.
Yeah.
And the Uber, you know the Uber driver is an entity, as a person. In the destination where you're going, that's another person. That feeling.
So like the blue light was an entity, or there was just
The blue light was an entity.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what it felt like. Like it felt like that thing was waiting for me, right? I didn't hear any voices, sounds, nothing. Just peace. Really, really calm. At that moment, I wonder, well, am I experiencing an angel? And I'm being taken to the presence of God.
wow.
Keep in mind, I was deceived. I believed that the stuff I was doing was a good thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I'm like excited at this point. I'm about to meet God. I'm like, wait, am I dead? Like, what is this? What's going on?
That's crazy.
And it was as though my spirit was no longer in my body at that point, but like somewhere else. Then I remember, like, keep in mind, this is like, there's no like sense of time. So I could have said it felt like 2 minutes or 2 hours. I really don't know. But then I looked over to my right, like my carnal body. I look over to the right toward the door of the shed that I was in. Remember, this was a shed that I would go to smoke. That was like my little smoke shed. And I would go there multiple times a day at my worst, you know, when I was just so dependent on cannabis. And sometimes even in the middle of the night, like I would wake up at 2 a.m., unable to sleep. Then I would just go out. Even if it was snowing, raining, it didn't matter. That's how bad this was. And every time I would go in there, I would smoke and wait till the effects kind of came on and then just go to sleep or go to work, whatever I needed to do. And every time I would take a lot, like my torch lighter that I would use to light up the cannabis with, and I would just like start drawing shapes on the door, like burn into it, because it was a wooden door. And it was kind of what I did while I waited to get high, essentially. Then this thing, as it tried to lure me in like deeper into this void, into this tunnel, it was like I was turning on a switch between seeing this thing trying to pull me in. By the way, this thing never touched me.
Okay.
It never touched my hand. It was trying to, and it was signaling at me. I could see this
Like
come.
it was trying to hold your hand at one point?
It was trying to, but it never did.
never did, okay.
It never actually touched me. It was all 100% left up to me.
Interesting. Like
Which-
you had to take the final...
I had to make a decision to follow.
Interesting.
And I was hesitant, I remember, to just kind of, as I was kind of walking toward this void through this tunnel. Then at one point, I just kind of kept looking at the door, and I felt like something, in my own carnal body kept looking at this door and trying to figure out, what are these shapes? What does it say? Because remember, I wasn't fully in my mind, right?
Yeah.
So, it kept trying to like lure me further in, and the more I kept looking at this door, the more it kept insisting.
Wow.
Like it was almost like, when somebody tells you, let's go, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's kind of like, hey, we should go in a minute, versus like, let's go, we have to go
Insistent.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It got to this point where I was almost frustrated that I wasn't paying attention to it, and somehow I kept looking at the door. Then I was like, wait a minute, I think I can read what the words are on the door, and what the shape, above it is. The words were Soli Deo Gloria, that I had burned into the door over like months. And the shape was a cross.
Like actually, or in the vision?
No, like I had burned this into the door over months.
Okay.
So I wrote Soli Deo Gloria
Yeah.
on the door. Like I burnt it into the door.
Glory to God alone.
Yep. Glory to God alone. Yeah. Thank you. And I had just drawn like a cross at the very top. And then, it was all kind of in a circle, and there were little like things that I had burnt into it. But that was like the thing.
Yeah.
And at that moment I was like, wait, this isn't right. So I remember pausing sort of spiritually, like I'm thinking of myself as two beings, right? Like there's my spirit, there's my body. My body kept looking at the door. My spirit was trying to keep walking, but at this point it goes, wait. So I paused 100%, and then everything happened really quickly. But in that moment I said, wait, this isn't God. This is a cheap counterfeit. And then I told it, like, you're not the one that died on that cross that I had burned into the door, or what it signified. And the glory is not yours, being glory to God alone, Soli Deo Gloria. And just as quickly as I kind of fell into the trance, everything went away.
Wow.
And I kept, in my mind, I was like, wait, no, I want to experience that again. Almost immediately.
Interesting.
But it's like, no, I sort of found an anchor in my believing in God, in experiencing the true God versus this cheap counterfeit. And the moment I realized that's where Jesus died, like the cross. The moment I thought his name is when everything went away.
Wow.
And that's when I knew that was demonic.
It was not that was not God.
That was not
It
God.
flees at the name of Christ.
Correct.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I was like, this is crazy. Like there's something real about this. And there's something like, I spent hours just thinking about what did I just experience? Like over a couple of weeks. Well, the result of that, and by the way, what finally kind of sealed the deal for me was your episode on psychedelics.
Wow.
Because I remember at the time being like, I wish I could. I don't feel comfortable with what I'm hearing from my current pastor. It seems cheap, if that makes sense. It doesn't seem genuine. It doesn't seem like it's the real answer. And then I heard that episode, and I was like, I have to be done. So I quit like taking any kind. And by the way, like the psychedelic thing, I had done just psilocybin mushrooms and LSD. Surprisingly, LSD is much more calmer than psilocybin. I never did anything harder than that. There's DMT, there's 5-MeO DMT, there's salvia, there's all these other things. Never did anything like that. I just kind of did the lifestyle, LSD and the lifestyle kind of psilocybin. And of course, all the cannabis. Well, I quit cold turkey, like from one day to another, which was absolutely miserable.
From listening to the episode?
After listening to the episode and being convicted that I had been sinning against God.
Yeah.
I was literally cheating on God with the idea of different entities. I'm still God's though. And so at that point, it's like, okay, now it's up to you to, you can keep flirting with this stuff, or you can just cut it and be done with it.
Yeah.
So I never took any more psychedelics.
Wow.
and I never smoked marijuana ever again. And in one, like there was 1 year where like things just weren't great for me. And that's when I smoked the most marijuana.
Yeah.
I smoked a pound in a year of marijuana.
I have no context for this, but that sounds like a lot.
Sounds like a lot.
It's like rapper. It's like
2 Chains.
like 2 Chains. What's the dog rapper?
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Lion.
Their dog rapper.
Dog rap.
That dude. Like I just think of him because he's like constantly stoned.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
some of those guys don't smoke a pound in a year. It's
Wow.
just a lot.
Yeah. You were deep.
I was deep.
Yeah.
And I thought it was okay. I thought it was from God. I thought it was a gift. But after that experience, and then after listening to your episode, and then seeing like cultures that engage in psychedelics end up doing this, and that.
Yep.
And I was like,
Serpent worship, human sacrifice, child sacrifice, and psychedelic drugs all go together.
Yeah.
Again, that Louis Ungett book, The Return of the Dragon.
Yeah.
correct.
Great
Yep.
book.
That, and I remember just hearing that and being like,
Yeah.
that is not what I'm after.
It's interesting to see the progression for you, because it was like, and it's, you made this, we've talked about this before, but the tech world has this biohacking kind of microdosing culture where they're big into psychedelics, and they're big into kind of, trying to optimize the human form for creativity in tech work and all this kind of like transcending to another plane. But it's interesting to see how for you that went from a biohacking thing to, you knew it was spiritual. You knew there was some spiritual element, but you were filtering it through and saying, oh, but this is, I'm accessing God. This is to God's glory.
Yes.
How the deception worked.
Look at look at the fruit. I'm dying to myself.
Ego death is like
Ego death.
dying to yourself.
Yeah.
When it's just absolutely not, for the listeners, it's
false.
Yeah. It's not actually what that passage is about.
No, it first started with this, like, I didn't gain this understanding of, the carnal and the spiritual sort of being like so close together.
Yeah.
Until Haunted Cosmos. Like that opened my eyes to that. Before I started doing psychedelics, in my mind, it was more like I'm enhancing the flesh, but I'm not even touching the spirit.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right. And that's actually where the slippery slope begins.
Yep.
Because that's when you go, oh, I'm just going to think more clearly. I'm going to do a better job for God's glory. Like I'm telling you, it's so foolish to believe that I'm going to do this for God's glory. It's like, I'm going to go murder somebody for God's glory. And murder is murder.
Murder doesn't touch the spirit.
Yeah.
It's all just in the flesh.
Like, it's just,
I'm just like, a hitman. It's my day job.
Correct. Like, and that's how I saw it. And so it wasn't until that experience. And you know how I mentioned the whole blue thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I started thinking about references about blue things, like the Aladdin genie is blue. The way that angels or supernatural light is normally portrayed on it, like movies, tends to be blue. On a different time prior to me having that experience, I was going to bed, and all of a sudden I went into a trance too. Nothing crazy, but I just saw myself like in bed glowing blue.
Wow.
So that I don't, there's something to that. But it was like really bright white light with this surrounding hue blue around. But by the way, that was only the entities that did that.
Interesting.
The actual room or the actual tunnel was not blue. It was like just a regular underground cave, right? But it was only the entities that were glowing blue.
And the entities were another element that's interesting to me that I think proves out a lot of what we've talked about on the show. Well, first of all, I'm thankful to hear that episode was helpful.
Yeah, praise God.
You know, like that's one of the reasons we set out to make this show. It's like in a materialist world, people are very vulnerable to the schemes of immaterial, satanic, demonic, spiritual beings. They're not equipped because they don't think they're real. And so, and I'm not saying that was your case, but it leaves people very prone to deception. It's interesting to see the doorways that can come through. But what was interesting to me that confirms what we see in a lot of different phenomena is this concept of there's still a kind of sovereignty of a person. There's still a kind of permission, a willing.
100%.
Where, and you see it show up in like vampire lore. They can't cross the threshold without being invited in. Black-eyed kids, they're trying to be invited
Mothman
in.
was similar to that.
Mothman's trying to be invited in. Men in Black trying to be invited in. A lot of demonic phenomenon is aiming to deceive a person into saying, I want this.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like what was happening in the war between the Holy Spirit and you, I would say, and your flesh and these demonic entities. They're trying to say, let me love bomb you. Let me wash you in this perfect feeling of peace.
Bliss.
It's not a true peace. It didn't, none of the circumstances of your life causing anxiety at that time did they really solve.
No, they worsened.
Yeah.
They got worse because of this. But they would give you this momentary illusion of total peace. And then they start saying, now come further in and I'll give you more peace.
Yeah.
But you know what happens if you take the hand of that entity or if you give yourself to it completely.
It reminds me of Genesis 4:6. Is that where Cain is having his discourse with God?
Yeah.
And God says, sin is crouching at your door and you must overcome it, or you may overcome
Its
it.
desire is for you.
Its desire is for you.
But you must rule over it.
You must rule over it. And how even that kind of is lends credence to this idea that it's almost a mercy of God that there has to be this continual consent.
Yeah.
On the like they still, to your point, like there's a level of individual sovereignty and the freedom of the will where you still have responsibility.
Absolutely.
That can serve to condemn you. But it's also in a sense like a real mercy.
It's a limit that I think God places.
Right.
100%.
Where it's like, no, you have to want this. Yeah. I can't just drag you in. You have to want to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and even the effort to, like, there's a strong physical effort and mental effort that you have to exert when you are engaged with psychedelics.
Yeah.
Because it changes everything. Like, your perspective of everything changes.
Yeah.
But to your point, like, nothing ever touched me.
Yeah.
Nothing ever forced me, but it gave me that illusion. It's like, if you just keep walking, you're going to experience X, Y, and Z.
We'll bring you to God.
Well, and that's literally what I was thinking. Like, I'm about to experience Jesus. And I was so thankful in that moment, by the way. I'm like, thank you, Lord. And I kept thinking that.
Yeah.
Like, gratitude. Until I looked at the door and I realized, no. The glory is to God alone.
Yeah.
Like, that's what hit me across the face. It was like, no glory to this cheap counterfeit. And when I didn't say it because the whole time I was silent. Jesus, the name of Jesus, like, he died on the cross, and to him be all the glory. It's when it vanished.
Wow.
And it only, like, that in a really visceral way, that kind of shows you just how inverted the whole message was. It is like, you're getting that. It's kind of like a hologram of a carrot, where when you're in it, all the stress does go away. Then when you get out of it, the stress is not only still there, but to your point, it kind of compounds versus what, like, part of what Christ showed in his earthly ministry was there's actually no cheat code and there's no way around dying to yourself means literally my body is dying. Like the only way to get to the peace is to walk through that stress of redemption and sanctification,
Death, burial, and resurrection.
all the while knowing that you're upheld by the grace of God and the strength of God. And that's the point, is it's not your strength, but it is still you walking through it.
100%.
Yep.
Well, in the psychedelic world, there's different stages, right? In the final stage, they call breakthrough, where it's where you finally break through whatever anxiety or whatever stress or whatever concern you had kind of going into the experience. And I didn't get there, but I started to experience that. And it almost seemed like this thing was leading me toward this blue light to experience breakthrough, what they would call breakthrough. Well, at the end of the day, I stopped, I did the thing, but the lesson was for me, one is God's peace isn't cheap. You're not, it's not like take this pill and you'll experience peace.
Right.
Because that's essentially what I was being sold with this whole psychedelic experience. The second thing is psychedelics are not for Christians to use. I still have Christian friends that are like, no, I think, there's medicinal. I'm like, no, there isn't. Like maybe cannabis in some like crazy extreme way might be beneficial. Nowadays we can isolate the THC9 so you can actually get the, CBD, for example, and inflammation, whatever. I still think there's more honor in just suffering through it than to like go get high.
Yeah. I mean, I have family members who smoke themselves into paranoia, like not real schizophrenia, but kind of like a sort of paranoia that ended up being just isolated from all other family, destroyed relationships, turned them into a shell of themselves. And the whole way along the road, they think that the cannabis is helping them. They think it's calming them down. It's giving them, and what it's doing is it's actually destroying their mind.
Well, yeah. And it's insulating, it's putting up more layers of insulation to real community.
Yes.
To the communion of the saints.
Real solution of your problems.
Exactly.
Correct.
Like you're
100%.
And we know our anonymous guest, but I know we've talked about some of the circumstances and the anxiety you were in the middle of in that dark season. And to come back to it, like it's offering a false solution.
Correct.
The real solution of death, burial, and resurrection is you are dying to yourself. You are laying down your life. You are repenting of sins. You're turning from habits that are like all of these difficult things, facing them head on by grace and through faith with the help of the Lord brings real resolution to them and has. But the psychedelics and these entities, they're not interested in giving you peace. They're interested in swallowing your soul.
And from you're a husband and a father. From that perspective, and you're supposed to love your family the way that Christ loves the church, especially your wife the way that Christ loves the church, who gave himself up for her. The ego death is an ego death. It's centric. It's like totally self-centric. It serves you,
100%,
right? But nobody else.
No one
like
else.
in that period, and again, I know that we can say this because you've repented. Like your family was also suffering,
100%.
and the relief that you got gave them actually less relief.
Yeah, it was.
And so it's like the ego death was totally inverted.
They needed you to be self-ruled, not to just have this, I'm nothing.
Yeah.
I've become one with the demonic spirit
Right.
thing.
literally
So when
what it is.
Christ
Dragon spirit.
When Christ
People
died,
are like, great, but could we like have dad back? Or
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
like
when Christ died to himself, it benefited the world.
Right.
Literally everybody. When a Christian man dies to himself,
Yeah.
it actually leads to the flourishing and good of his wife and children and community at large, his church.
Yeah.
There's honor and glory in doing what you just said.
Yeah.
Versus what I was doing. And part of it was the shame. I'm like, I did everybody wrong. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like I did my wife wrong.
Yeah.
She at one point said, I was just waiting to figure out if I was going to have to get a different husband. Like I thought you were going to die.
Dang.
And I'm like, that was hard to hear because I'm like, I was that big of a coward. And that's what pushed me to just say, I'm done from one day to another. Right.
Yep.
One thing I learned with the cannabis thing is that to all of those Christians who are still on the fence, like, no, it might still be good. Here's the thing. It's a slow way to kill the will to survive.
Yeah.
It's a
that's good way to put
slow death.
Wow.
It's worse than dying by 1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah.
It is. You don't feel the pain until you don't have it, and then you go do more, and it's like a frog that's dying in boiling water. You know, like you keep turning out the temperature, you don't feel it. You think you're fine, but you're not. You're actually not. And so the last thing that I learned from this is, you know, true peace is not found away from reality, but it's found in accepting the condition in which God has placed us, and that is essentially what led to true contentment. Because I wasn't content, I was not satisfied, I was not happy. I needed more, something else, a new way to find, you know, more creativity to excel at my work, etc. And it made everything worse.
Dude, you ready for this?
Dude, I am snallygassed up and ready to roll.
I'm caffeinated. I got my chili. Oh! Hello, young foolish Ben.
And greetings, former Brian, besotted with the ignorance of youth. But future selves, what are you doing here?
We have come bringing good tidings for your generous supporters.
Tell them to use this code.
Okay, we'll have him use the code, but I just have one question. Future me, do I ever gain the weight back?
Yes, indeed, you are thrice beset with heavy weight, which you lose again through starvation.
Wait, one more. Do we ever make it on the Joe Rogan podcast?
I cannot reveal your future, for that would be to disrupt your path. But yes.
Okay, that was weird, but I mean, I guess use this code to get your discount to become a patron today.
That's a great point. Whoa. Does Bitcoin ever go to a...
Ben, I wanted to talk to you about something. I'm concerned about you.
What are you concerned about?
Every time I see you, you have more and more Indigo Sundries products. I feel like you're overdoing it.
Dude, give me one example.
Dude, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Do you see, like, where did you even get this from?
What's the problem with having some soap on hand?
Ben, we're at work right now. There's
What,
gonna be,
you don't want to smell good at work?
there's gonna be no situation where you need Indigo Sundry soap at work.
Have you ever gotten sweaty in this basement?
Dude, yes, every time we're filming, I look at you and I go, he's so handsome.
Well then, you're gonna need some soap so that you don't smell as
No,
bad.
but do you see what's happening to you? Like, how are you even, are there do you have fairies that give you this?
Dude, what are you talking about?
Have you partnered
right now?
with the Fae?
No! I'm a stone cold Christian who likes soap.
Dude, I feel, wait, is that calendula?
Oh, not so mad about it now, are you?
They make liquid soap
Yeah,
now?
you didn't know that?
Dude, I didn't know that. Well,
They're
obviously
literally
I'm not
they're a sponsor of the show. You should know that.
I have duties and responsibilities. Not all of us can just be Indigo Sundry Maxing all the time.
Okay, well, since you didn't know that, I'm assuming you also didn't know that if you use their subscription plan, you'll get 10% off of your order.
10% off?
10%
Of
off?
their already great prices?
I'm telling you.
Are you kidding me?
Don't do cannabis.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Don't do
Your
drugs.
dare officer was right.
Yeah, the dare officer.
You
was
know,
right.
what's interesting to me, and maybe we just end here, but
I had one more thing.
and
I
you,
wanted to
yeah,
say to you.
is that it's so funny to me that the passage says that in any temptation, God always provides a door of escape, a way of escape, and that in your case, it was literally symbolized in a door.
A door. With
I never even thought about that.
you made.
This said solely Deo
Like
Glory.
God's like, I cannot make this more
obvious.
like, do you want to escape from the demons or do you want to go and be consumed by them? I don't know how to put it more clearly than that.
But here's the door.
That's so. I think it's not that there's no levity to it. Like I was gonna say, God has a sense of humor, but it's more like God just. There are moments in your life where you wonder whether it was the voice of God in his providence or just, normal human wisdom or whatever. But this is just a moment where like the Lord was there.
Yeah.
And he was watching over you. And he turned you in that moment and he appointed that time and he said, this is going to be the moment where I'm going to free my servant from this.
And
deception.
I mean, and that should be great assurance for you and for anyone listening, maybe struggling with similar stuff. Like Christ says that any who come to him shall not fall away. Mm-hmm. And I mean, what a case in point.
Yeah.
Like even though Paul says this, I think it's to Titus, maybe it's to Timothy, but he says, even if we are faithless, he remains faithful, for he cannot deny himself.
Yeah.
Which is to say, like, when we become adopted, we become a part of Christ's body, and he can't deny himself.
Yeah.
So he's not going to let you fall away.
Yep.
Like he'll move heaven and earth to save even the single lamb that goes astray.
Wow.
One thing that it made me
good.
think of, this is much more on like not a scientific level, but a more technical level. I was listening to this Instagram reel with Huberman, and he was talking about how he was talking to one of his friends who's like a leading neurosurgeon, and he asked him how much of the stuff in medical textbooks that we're teaching students today is just wrong. And we know it's just wrong, but we haven't gotten to update everything. And the guy said about 60% conservatively.
Wow.
That's 60%.
Yeah.
Huberman Labs, the hormone.
Huberman Labs, yeah. And it's just dead wrong. And Huberman's follow-up was, and what do you think the cost, like what has been the cost of that? And the guy said it's totally incalculable. Like there's been massive death and cost from this. And it got me thinking, it's not really directly related to this, but it got me thinking about how you see parallels to what you experienced in so many of these ancient myths and these mysteries, these like Eleusinian rite type things where people go and they want to experience the ego death. And then for centuries, we thought that was ridiculous and stupid. And then you get guys like, for all of his faults, Carl Jung, the psychoanalyst, who started to look at like dreams and visions. And he's assuming all these things that are bad. But one thing that he noticed is like, those people, when they're in these experiences, they're not acting out anything physically. Like they're not participating physically with what's happening.
Right.
But it is real. Like,
Yeah.
And it has a profound effect on the rest of their life and the way that they live. And so these things with the Eleusinian rites, your experience at a more individual level, like people may be tempted to write that off as, oh, he's just seeing things. Like the drugs don't actually make you see anything real. It's just constructs of the mind. But I think, like to Huberman's point, to Jung's point, and to your point, and really to the point of the Bible, these things actually are all connected.
Yeah.
And there's a ton that we just don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
there are things that's one of the key points is that epistemic humility, this humility about the nature and extent of our knowledge, how we know what we know. We have to start with the assumption that our knowledge is so far short of reality that we need to obey God, especially in areas where we're like, I just don't see why I can't do that, why I shouldn't do that, why I'm not allowed to do that. And the reason is that we need to obey is because God created us. He knows all things. He knows things that are, it's like when you tell your 3-year-old something and you're like, no, just trust me, don't do this. And they're like, I have no idea. That sounds like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
And you're like, it will literally, you will die if you do this. And they're like, what is dying? They don't even know, like that's, and we're so much further from God than a 3-year-old to an adult.
Yeah.
Like it's not even calculable. So we do need to obey.
It's like in Paralandra when the unman is tempting the green lady, like, what's the point of not sleeping on the fixed land? Like, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. And Ransom tells the green lady, doesn't perfect love require obedience precisely when you don't understand?
Yes, exactly. That is the key point.
And that's so much of what God is trying to teach us as, infants to an adult, but even more so, like, if you want to experience perfect love, then you have to learn how to just obey with delight.
Well, and that's what the cold turkey thing was for
just
me.
Obey.
Yeah, and praise
like
God for
everyone
that.
I've
It's
talked
amazing.
to, like I know a lot of people that have been in this world and continue to be in it. Afterwards they would come to me at like business events, networking events, and bring like a random thing for me to hit. Like, oh, try this one. It's a new strain. It's this wax that it's got this other thing, and these molecules now, they're stronger, whatever. Literally, like that's how it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I'm done.
Nope.
And they're like, what do you mean you're done? I'm like, I don't smoke anymore. They're like, well, you have to wean off. Like, I'm like, no, you don't understand. I quit 100% cold turkey. I'm done. And these guys were like, how are you doing that? Like, can you sleep? No. Like it was like a week of like crazy insomnia. Can you operate? I don't know. I'm trying, right? But I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why it felt so hard. But I relied on this, just obey. Like, this is what you need to do. So just freaking do it.
Yeah.
And do it with all your might until you'll probably sleep because you're so tired after a week of not sleeping. And that's worth it.
Yeah.
There's this verse, probably my favorite passage in the Old Testament. It's in Lamentations 3, where Jeremiah is done. Well, he's paused talking about the destruction of his home. And he says, this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. Great is your faith, all this stuff. And then there's one line that's overlooked a lot where it says, it's good for a young man to bear the yoke in his youth. And there's something there that I think speaks to the reality of sanctification, where you're in it and you're trying to obey, and it's just painful and hard. And you're like, but why? Like, God, why? And he doesn't always answer. And part of why is because his wisdom is above ours. It's unsearchable, but he promises us, but it's good to bear the yoke. It's like, I'm not going to give this to you, not for your good. So just faithfully endure it.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thanks for coming and sharing your story. That was honestly blew me away. I mean, amazing. We're thankful to be some small part of it, and just hope that it helps
me away.
Oh my goodness.
So thanks for joining us. We're honored to have you.
It's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you. Thank you for the content you guys have been making.
You got it. Well, guys, thanks for listening or watching here on YouTube or wherever you're listening in. If you like what we do on Haunted Cosmos here in the off season, we'd encourage you to jump on to one of our supporter channels. Patreon.com/Haunted Cosmos is a great place to start. And you can not only get access to all sorts of behind the scenes stuff. We have a weekly podcast called The Dusty Tome. That's a story driven podcast produced just for our patrons and supporters there as a thank you for making all of this possible. We couldn't do any of the things we do without your support. But also in the off season, our patrons are actually not in the off season because they're continually getting early and ad-free access to fully produced all of our main shows. They've typically had them significantly earlier than the public, and are watching and listening in there on Patreon. So thanks for listening in, guys. We hope it's been helpful. And this is exactly why we do it, turning the lights on in the darkest cracks of the world that God has made. And we hope this episode's been helpful to you. We'll see you next time.